let's get into the actual topic here. And I know there's a few people. I mean, I had Mo Pinnell and his boy Mickey chiming in on my post there a little bit earlier. They're going to be advocates for the layouts. They truly believe that the layouts are a big deal. And I'm going to tell you, I don't fully disagree. I think layouts are important in certain ways. But Lee, I'm going to let you lead into this. What we want to talk about is we want to talk about bowling ball layouts. And do you see a difference? If I'll give you an example. Do you see a difference if I were to give you a dual angle of like a 20 by 5 by let's call it 40? All right, and we do the same angles front to back, but then we do like a 4-inch pen instead of a 5-inch pen. Exact same layout, same ball. Do you think there's much of a difference in those two balls?
Personally, no, not enough. I mean, now I'm gonna talk as if I'm talking to a customer who comes in. The masses, really. We're not talking about professional level. I'm not going there with this. I'm talking about your league bowler. Even recreational, who just wants to get better, and someone like myself, honestly, that dabbles in also some competitive bowling. Not enough of a difference. I'm never going to split hairs like that on my equipment. I'm going to worry about picking the right ball to start with. I'm not going to make a 1-inch difference with my pin to pat and expect to see some kind of a major difference where all of a sudden I'm gonna whack this tournament or something. It's just not, to me, the way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, at least not in plain view, not in eyesight. I don't think anybody can really see that. If you're on Specto, or if you're actually doing testing and seeing the numbers in front of you, you'll see a little bit of a difference based on the numbers. But if you're actually eyeballing it, if you take a 5-inch pen and then like a 4-inch pen, I don't think you're going to see enough of a difference. I mean, if you do see a difference, it's going to be the matter of inches. And is that going to be enough? Getting a ball to read, 2 inches sooner can make the world and pin carry and all that stuff. So I think it can make a difference in that. But when I'm talking about layouts, like I've got people who will say, well, I drilled 3 of these balls and I drilled one at 3.5, and then I drilled one at 4, and then I drilled one at 4 1/4. And man, I see 15 inches difference on all of them. And I'm like, you're so full of crap. You're so full of it. You don't see anything. Like, there's no way you're seeing any difference in that. Now, if you had, in my opinion, again, this is mostly opinion stuff because, obviously we don't have data right in front of us to be able to prove anything, as far as this goes. But if you take like a Max Flare 3 3/8 inch layout, and then you go to like a 6-inch pen, well, now, yeah, of course you're going to see a difference. Now you're completely shifting the core. But by shifting the core, just those, even just a less than an inch, how are you going to see much of a difference? I mean, you'll make it flare a pinch more or less, whichever way you go about it. But this is one of those things where you're going to have different opinions on it. And if I have somebody that comes into the shop and they're like, man, so this ball's laid out 30 by 4.5 by 50, and it just doesn't quite hook enough for me, what am I going to do different? Like, you can't look at them and say, oh, well, I can just put a stronger layout on it, because a stronger layout on it isn't going to visually give you that difference. The only thing that's going to visually give you the difference is changing the surface, right? Because that's what's actually touching the lane. The biggest thing in bowling is the surface of the bowling ball, the actual cover stock of the bowling ball. So it's what actually touches the lane. And I know there's an awful lot of manufacturers out there, and there's an awful lot of industry people who are really, really big into these cores and really big into. But I mean, and I could be wrong, but I'm looking at these cores and I'm like, man, they really haven't. How much have they changed over the last? And I know there's numbers that are way over my head. I know they know the details in these things by the physics of them, all the dynamics of these cores so much better than I do, because they've designed them, they've done all these things. But like, honestly, when I look at a core from 10 years ago compared to now, what is really different about them that's making them that much different? The difference I've seen has come in the cover stocks. The way they've changed the reactive cover stocks from back in the day, even the way they've changed the urethane cover stocks from back in the day. That's why there's that big controversy with the urethane. You see that new study that just came out? USBC finally came out and they showed their new study, and they changed the rules based on everything, because the new urethane, whatever it is, the molecular layout, whatever they're using in that urethane today is completely different than back in the day. Like, you take an old blue hammer back when you were a kid, so like 70 years ago, you could take an old old blue hammer. Sorry, that was a bad joke. You could take an old blue hammer.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, you could take an old blue hammer up against one of the newer, like say black hammer or blue hammer or whatever. And granted, you can tell there's just a huge difference in the way they react. They're just a completely different type of bowling ball, even though they claim, it's still a urethane, it's still pure urethane, but the makeup of them are completely different than what they were back in the day. And I think now they're showing that, they absorb, or maybe they don't absorb oil, but the oil or whatever is causing them to get a little bit softer over time as they're being used. So they're seeing more and more friction. And as you know, obviously, the softer a cover stock gets, it's just like a snow tire. You start to let a little air out of a snow tire, and it sees more friction. It sees a little bit more of the tire actually hits the ground, just like bowling ball gets a little bit softer, a little bit more bowling ball touches the lane. You're going to see a little bit more reaction, a little bit earlier reaction, a little bit overall more reaction. So, but as far as the layouts go, I think I'm on board with you. I think it's you get somebody that walks in with a 4-inch layout. What are you really going to do other than change the surface?